Welcome to the Intern Academy Gradcast. It's the culmination and continuation of decades of ministry being poured into each new generation. Listen in to intern graduates from all generations and learn what it really means to be a part of this pipeline of leadership that is changing the world one internship at a time.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of the Gradcast. We again are very happy that you could join us for this episode. A little bit of behind the scenes information. It's been a while since we've all sat down and recorded a nice little recording session here. So it feels like it's been an eternity and a day. So if we're a bit awkward, man, just show us some grace.
I missed you guys.
Show us some grace. Don't be cynical, okay?
Missed you guys. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Matt has a terrible attendance record for these episodes, just so we're all aware.
Great.
We're gonna get that out of the way.
He finally showed up. Gosh.
No.
It's been a long time coming, but we are glad he's here nonetheless to join us tonight for this episode. We are going to go ahead and get started. I think we've already kind of talked a little bit here with the guests and all that, but I'm joined by the usual cast. We got Abby, we got Kaylee, and we got Nate. You guys are doing well, I assume?
Doing well.
Doing good.
If not, that would be a pretty abrupt change since we last recorded our last podcast about 10 minutes ago. So just checking. But we are joined by the one and only Matt Hale, who's going to share some of his wisdom with us tonight on not being cynical, because being cynical can kill your ministry.
Your ministry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight up.
There you go.
Kill
So before we get started, let's just go ahead and we're going to hear from Matt. Matt, tell us who you are. What do you do? How'd you get in contact with IA? And then we have a very, very, very important question for you. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right.
Yeah. Well, I hate to break it to you. I'm not the one and only Matt Hale. There are quite a few of us out there. Some are in prison. In fact, I am not one of those. So
just to
clarify,
Oh, thank goodness.
You got in touch with
You got the right guy.
the correct Matt Hale. So I'm in Illinois. I'm in Southern Illinois, right outside St. Louis. Live in a little town called Wood River, or as people call it around here, Wood River. There's no space between those, but there actually is. So you say Wood River.
I respect that.
You see him. Yeah. The Okie gets it.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm from. This is where I grew up. And we are actually about to transition. My wife, Becca, and I are about to transition to a new ministry as lead pastors at actually her home church that she grew up in.
That's awesome.
It was the church that we got married in, the church that we got commissioned into ministry for. And that church is Lifebrook Church in Bethalto, Illinois. And so May 19th of this year, 2024. So if somebody's listening next year, they're like, oh, when's that? It was a long time ago now. But May 19th of this year, we will be installed as the pastors at Lifebrook Church. And it's fun. It's where I have family that attend that church. It's a really kind of crazy transition and crazy story how we got there, but we're loving how God has just opened up doors, and it's been great. We're excited for our two girls, Evelyn and Madeline. Today is Maddie's birthday, and she's 2 years old today, and it's just amazing.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
She's awesome. She's awesome. And so we have an amazing family, amazing support system, and part of that support system has been being involved with IA for about 10 years, a good old decade. And we got launched into ministry by taking on an internship, a residency at Vero Beach Church of God and in Vero Beach, Florida, and where we did a 2-year internship under Adam Rentis. And that's how I got introduced to IA and started so many awesome relationships. And then as I got further into student ministry, starting internships at churches and bringing people in like Kaylee to do some amazing ministry alongside students. And so it's been an awesome ride for about 10 years with IA.
What a blessing, man. I mean, seriously, what a cool turn of events.
Yeah.
So I hate to end this happy moment on such an abrupt note, but I got to do it. I promised a tough question, and a tough question is what you are going to receive, sir. So I hope you're ready. Okay.
No, I'm not.
All right. Well,
Full
you're going to go
send.
first now.
Oh, well.
Okay. So, Matt, I want you to tell us, in our little pre-recording talk with the other hosts here, we were trying to prepare our stories ahead of time so that we wouldn't get too deep, too heavy. But tell us about a bad day. Tell us about a bad experience that may have threatened the overall experience as a whole, right? It may have even caused you or tempted you to view things in a cynical manner. See what I did there? See how we're looping it back to the theme here?
Wow. I'm seeing that thread.
There you go.
From one side to another.
For the sake of any networking and employment opportunities in the future, don't get too deep. Just a warning. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, that is, first of all, a ridiculous question. It's a crazy question.
Yes, welcome to the Gradcast. Good point, Kaylee.
But like ridiculous in a good way. And it's so ridiculous. You're gonna have to repeat it. So, what do you want from me? Why am I here?
So look,
Cynical?
all right. You got to tell us about a bad day that you've had, a bad experience that may have threatened an overall experience. Abby, go ahead.
Have we even told them what the topic is? Maybe I missed that. So everyone might be confused.
So that may be true. That may be true.
I don't know.
If it's not, Abby's fired. I vote in favor of that. But just for the record, we're talking about today how being cynical can oftentimes kill your ministry. So tell us about a time, maybe not in ministry, but just in general, and maybe we'll show some grace to you just this one time, Matt, just this once. We'll show some grace. We'll let some other co-hosts go first, and then you'll kind of get a flavor for what we're looking for. And then you can hit us. Okay.
Wow. Now this is where we find out if you actually were the Matt Hale in prison, I think.
Oh, yes. Another reference to a pre-recorded conversation. Oh, no, we're good.
No, that was
good.
recorded.
We're good. Welcome to the Gradcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Was that? I don't know.
Anyways, Abby, tell us about a bad experience. Here we go. We're sinking here. We need your help. Okay. Tell us about a bad day, a bad experience.
So, let's see. The one that comes to mind is a day that still haunts my memory. Is on my 21st birthday last year. When I was leaving, I was at University of Central Oklahoma, had class with my best friend. It was my birthday. I was like, yay, good day. We're driving out of the parking lot. And she's looking at her jacket asking, what's this on my seatbelt, or there's fuzzies? And I look, I was silly. And before I know it, we were in a car wreck. And everyone was fine. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, yep, this makes sense. I've never had anything happen car-wise before, but let it be on my birthday. So pull over to the side with the girl. She's super nice. And I think maybe she'll see it's my birthday and like, it'll be fine. Because nothing was wrong with her car. But you know how it goes. Well, that didn't happen. No. She didn't care it was my birthday. She was nice, but you
still got
claims
sued.
and all the things. So that was fun. But yeah, we didn't recover from that one. But here we are. We did recover. That day I did not. Here we go. Well, that's my story. It was fun.
I'm glad to hear that bad experience did not turn you into a cynical driver. Yeah, you see?
Good one.
It did not.
Kaylee, hit us with another one, yeah?
So I'm still holding on to this, and it kind of ties into earlier we talked about board games and competitiveness, but we play Assassin here at MacU with spoons, so you get a name with a spoon. Like, and you go get that person, they give you your spoon if you tag them. And so I didn't have a spoon yet. My person backed out, and one of my teammates at the time tagged me out, and I literally was so upset about it. I don't think I talked to her for 2 days. So I let being cynical get the best of me. It still bothers me, to be honest. So I can't let it go. So yeah, it ruined my time. I didn't have a good experience. I can't sign up for Assassin anymore, but then I end up always doing it. And I'm on edge. I'm tense the whole time. So yeah, don't play Assassin if you're ever brought the opportunity. If you can't handle it like me.
Wise words. Thank you for the
Yeah.
warning against what sounds like a
Thank
very
you for that
dangerous game.
honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Nate, hit us again, man. Tell us about a bad experience.
Yeah. So I just moved to North Carolina. Jeez, it's been 8 months already. Last September, and I was down in Florida for Christmas, and my presents Christmas morning weren't great, so I decided to go get me a car to make it better.
As you do.
Nice.
So I bought myself a newer car, and I was like, "Great, this car's awesome." January 19th comes around, so probably 3 weeks from the day since I bought the car. Uh, my tires essentially are just not working at all. So I take it in. I need 4 new tires, and I need my front and my back brake rotors and pads. Um,
Hmm.
so I was like, I literally just bought this car, and now I need to fix everything. Now I did have a second day that was close like it, and that was meeting Matt Hale from prison. I mean, that was
Wow.
just very
Oh no.
just
Oh
a
gosh.
really kind of a bad day. So I
How did we
just
get here?
What I didn't tell you, Nate, is I was the one who sold you the car. No.
Car
Oh,
I
dealer, Matt
knew he
Hale.
looked familiar. That
Yeah.
a
makes sense.
crook.
Yeah.
That was my question, Nate. Where did you get the car? If I can
I got
ask.
it from a friend from a trusted dealership, actually,
Okay.
who sold
Was
a
trusted
car
in
to.
like quotation marks?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
like trust?
trusted, 100%.
Hey,
Yeah,
we're
there
a
you go.
trusted.
Oh, trusted, 100%.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So he sold cars to 2 of our pastors, actually. Um,
Oh.
Does
and
he
then
hate?
sold this
Does
car
he
to
hate
me.
people in ministry?
Apparently he wants to make ministry people more cynical. So
That's
I
what it
guess that's
But
sounds
his
like.
we're
job.
not letting that happen.
Yeah. Good job.
Right.
Good job,
We're
Nate.
gonna have to speak to our lawyers to see if this, puts us at risk of being sued.
Right.
Anyways, just dragging a random car dealership through the mud. And prison Matt that exists somewhere out there somewhere. Anyways, really quickly before we go to Matt, I just want to say an experience that I had, right? My first internship in Ohio, I never left the state for longer than a week, and I'm supposed to go stay for like 4 months. And on the way up, my wife and I were driving up to OHIO, and a drive
Right.
shaft from a semi truck in front of us dropped, smashed the front of the old Danger Ranger, the Ford Ranger that I drive. Almost killed us both, but it's okay. We made it. Bob Hawker came in clutch, and we made it to Salem. And then we got to our host home, and then like 2 weeks later, we got COVID from our host home. So it was a really great start to an awesome summer. But we didn't let it stop us. We kept trudging through. That's what ministry is often about sometimes, so I'm told. And that's what we do on the Gradcast. That's what we do in IA is we trudge through, dropped drive shafts in COVID and sketchy dealerships and all the other strifes,
That's
right?
powerful.
But we're
Yeah.
having too much fun here, okay? We got to get serious. We got to hit Matt. Matt, tell us about this bad experience, okay? And if you really can't think of one, we'll be gracious. We'll show you a pass, and we'll get to some bigger fish. But
Oh no.
all right, hit us, man. Let's go.
I have to say, when this topic was, did I sign up for this topic or was it given to me? I can't remember. Did I?
Chip, it is Chip's role to pick who he seems fit for each topic. So
That says a lot about Chip and what he thinks of me. Because cynicism is something I struggle with. Like, honestly, like, really. So a couple months ago, my in-laws, were great people, wonderful people, gifted me and my wife and our girls a trip to Disney. Okay. It was a Christmas, it was after Christmas. It was a Christmas present kind of thing. And we took this a couple months ago, and we had rented a stroller from one of these, local Orlando Disney places. And so we had this stroller for the first 2 days that we were in the park. We had a break day, like a rest day, and then our last day in the park. And so on our break day, we had gone to a couple different like places to eat, and then had come back, and they had a nightly showing at the resort in the pool, a Disney movie. And so my in-laws took our girls and sat with them and watched, I don't know, Moana or something, a movie that they've already seen a billion times. And I left the stroller with them. Well, fast forward to the next morning, we're getting ready for our day in the parks. And I call my father-in-law, who had the stroller, and say, "Hey, whenever you're ready, bring the stroller around, and we'll pack the girls up and get going." He's like, "Well, I don't have it." And sometimes my father-in-law will like say like goofy things, like as if like, like, "Aha, just joking. I've got it right here."
Right.
And it was like, "Ah, you're funny." And he says, "No, I don't have it. I thought you guys had it." We have now officially misplaced our stroller.
Oh,
Mm.
Oh no.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? What's going on? And so we search the pool area, which we can't go into because it's early in the morning and it's closed off. And so we're walking around the pool a billion times. Is it in there? I'm talking to staff, this and that. And I'm like, we rented the stroller. I'm responsible for the stroller. If we lose the stroller, they're going to charge us like $1,000 because, that's just what
yeah.
things like that
Yeah.
happen all the time. And anyway, I tell my family, you know what? I'm going to wait for the pool staff to get here at 10 o'clock. And then, maybe they packed it away, in a spot. Like they just, what would I do? I'd put it in a spot for holding, and told them, go ahead and go to the park. I'll meet up with you guys later. Missed that. And so come to find out, like they go, I stay at the resort. Nobody can find our stroller. It's nowhere.
What?
I even talked to like the company who was like the guy who was like picking up strollers, like picking up like
Ugh.
the same company strollers. No, we're not on the list. You're good. You're good. You're good. And I'm just like, we're gonna get dinged. Like we're gonna get charged for this stroller, and it's just gonna be ridiculous. And so I finally like make my way to the park, and I'm just like ticked. I am TO'd.
Rightfully so.
And I'm ticked at my in-laws. I'm like, they left the stroller. They had the girls. They should have known. They should have had the stroller. This and that, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, it's the happiest place on earth, and I'm acting like a jerk. Let's be real. And uh and I just like, it ruins my morning. They went and did some rides. They went and did Soarin'. I still to this day have never ridden Soarin'. Like,
Oh,
and my
it's
so I missed out on this opportunity. You know,
yeah, sorry. Ugh.
long story short, we find out that the company did pick up our stroller after somebody had put it in this
Uh,
like designated place, and the guy shouldn't have picked up our stroller. Found out we had purchased the insurance on the stroller so that we could have just called them and
come
said, "Hey,
on.
we misplaced the stroller," and they would have just brought us a new one for free. And it's like, so going through all this headache, and I had just been like so ticked at my in-laws who had just incredibly blessed us with this trip. And here I am being a jerk and almost ruining the trip just with my attitude. My girls didn't care. My in-laws didn't care. My wife didn't care. Only I cared. Only me. And so I looked like a fool. Yeah, that was an experience that, was a Debbie Downer of a day that turned into cynicism, that turned into a jerk move by Matt Hale.
We know that one of the hardest things about helping people get into ministry is having a way to point them forward after they've felt their call to ministry, especially with students who are in high school or even some in middle school who are thinking about what it's like to maybe work in ministry or feeling like God is calling them to be in vocational ministry. And we want to give you a tool from us here at Intern Academy that's called our Called to Ministry devotional. It's something that you can go through, especially youth pastors out there or people who work in church ministry, or even if you just have a middle schooler or a high schooler in your life who feels like they might be called to ministry. We want to challenge you to use this tool in ministry with them, that you are able to walk through it with them and talk about what it might be like for them to seek out that call. It's completely free, 100% something that we just want to give you as a tool and be able to just make sure that we can see the next generation be a part of what God is calling them to do. That's what Intern Academy is all about, being a pipeline of leaders that we recreate ourselves. We see God move in the ministry that we're doing and see the next generation come up right behind us. If you want more information about the Call to Ministry devotional, make sure you check out our website, internacademy.net. And now back to the Gradcast.
How's that for a story?
That was good.
Nailed
You
it.
good?
Yeah.
Good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Wow.
Spot on.
Print.
Right
Oh,
on
yeah.
brand.
I was touched by the story. I may have to seek counseling
Wow.
after this event.
I was
Just
so
a number of bad.
invested that
Yeah,
You're
just
going, where is the stroller? Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that just, wow.
there you go.
Speechless.
Well, folks,
Yeah.
I'm afraid we may have had too much fun on the icebreaker, but welcome to the Gradcast.
Come on.
So Matt, we're gonna hit you with some heavy hitting questions about
Yeah.
cynicism. So I hope you came prepared, sir. And we're gonna talk about how we cannot let this affect our ministries. Nate, take it away for us, brother.
Yeah. So by the way, stroller story was amazing.
Thanks, man.
It was great. Yeah.
It was a crappy day, but I'm glad that my crappy story made you feel good about yourself. But that's
good.
good. See, that's cynicism. That's cynicism. Sorry. Keep
It's
going.
good.
My bad.
So our first question is ministry can be difficult. And then that was the question. No, I'm just kidding. It says ministry can be difficult. What are some ways you maintain a positive outlook and avoid cynicism in your ministry?
Man, it's difficult. I remember one time I used to have this routine before we moved back home. I'd walk my dog every night and I would call a family member, usually like my mom or dad, maybe my brother. And it was kind of just my time to like catch up, but then also like just blah. I'm gonna just spew everything that's going on in my life right now to somebody who will listen. And so I remember one time there was just a situation that was going on that was just so frustrating. I don't even remember the situation, but I told my mom, I love doing ministry. I love what I get to do, and I would love it even more if I didn't have to deal with people,
Mhm.
which is like no longer ministry. Like that's like just event coordinating, and as pastors we're called to lead people. And so the things that we get frustrated by with the majority of the time are relationships and people. Um, and so, keeping a positive outlook can be difficult. It really, really can. Uh, I hope that doesn't like scare like people who are thinking about ministry away. Like that's just like the real life of ministry, but that's the real life of relationships, of there are going to be
Yeah.
ups and downs all the time.
Yeah.
And so how you choose to embrace those obstacles, how you choose to interpret what's happening in the moment, um, does make a difference. And so, I can't tell you necessarily what are the ways to, just stay positive. I can't tell, I can't even tell you like the Dory method of like, just keep swimming and it's just going to be okay. Just keep swimming. Because let me tell you, man, there's some days you're just like, yeah, I'm done swimming. I'm done swimming. I'm done dealing with these people. I'm done dealing with people who complain about me and I complain about them. There's going to be those days. But I think if you can come into ministry knowing that those days are going to be there and knowing that those days are going to pass, you start to go, man, there are way more good days in ministry than there are bad days.
Mhm.
There are
Yeah.
way more opportunities to have positive relationships than to just worry about the people that drive you crazy. I had an interaction where a woman, this was just after I became a lead pastor, and I had a woman that approached me on a Sunday morning before service uh, to tell me that the way in which that I was, moving in our worship service as far as like how we would close a service. I had a woman that just flat out said I was wrong in doing that, like just flat out. And I knew this woman, she has some cynical opinions and has some cynical, moments. And it would have been very easy for me to go, well, that's just the way it is. And you're just going to have to get over it. And you could almost like rationalize, like, that would be okay. Like, that'd be okay. But there was a moment where I knew, you know what, I can make this criticism that I'm hearing from her um, really count, in that I'm hearing this criticism from her. Has she ever, I actually told her, I actually thanked her, which felt weird in the moment. That felt like very like Holy Spirit moment of I thanked her for coming to me and talking to me instead of going behind me, talking to five, 10
Mhm.
other people and, having conversations about how much they don't like something.
Mhm.
Rather than just, she just came and talked to me and approached me, and it was a hard pill to swallow. You're getting critiqued face to face, you know, but then I said, you know what? I thank you for coming to me. Here's why we're doing what we're doing. Here's the reason behind it. Here's the effort that we're trying to make, and trying to keep the relationship positive. And she walked away from that going, I still disagree with the way things are doing, but I'm glad we had a talk.
Mm.
Um, that's an effort in which you can make something that, comes across so negative feel as a positive of how can I maintain this relationship? Because usually cynicism comes from, you're being cynical from an experience, not necessarily from a relationship.
Mm.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so how can I make sure that the relationship stays positive? How can I how can I in that moment where it would be really easy for me to get a hard heart, to in the moment invite the Holy Spirit. I need you to take over my heart. I need you to take over my mouth,
Mhm.
and to breathe positivity back into the situation that feels so negative. I can't tell you that's like necessarily practical ways. It's very much happening in the moment. And there's times where it's happened, and it's happened so naturally, and it's been amazing. And guess what? There's also been times where I did get a hard heart. And guess what? That relationship is a little strained. But if I can look at this cynicism that's coming my way, or the other way sometimes, but I can digest it in the way of, I'm going to filter this by making sure that the relationship that's happening here stays positive. I think you'll find that the cynicism that you hear and that you experience isn't going to have the blows that it can have a lot of times, whenever our heart has been hardened. And so that's where I would lean, like lean towards the Holy Spirit, lean towards, hey, I'm surrendering myself in this moment to not be myself, because I can bow up. And guess what? You start to bow up and you start to throw blows, like that relationship ain't going to last anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I would encourage you, keep the positive towards the relationship as you're hearing the cynicism.
Good stuff, Matt. I was listening to another great podcast, which I highly recommend. It's called The Lunch Table. It's with Drew Wallingford and the Didway brothers. And they, I think in their most recent episode, they were talking about a professor that used to be here at Warner University, who is now at MacU. His name's Dr. Sanders. He's kind of still a legend in these parts.
A legend.
But anyways, he used to tell his students here at Warner that whenever you would experience criticism, because undoubtedly, like there will come a time in ministry where you do. And Matt, you gave us an example, like a real life example of where it happens. Used to ask his students, is there an inkling of truth to their criticism? Like, was there something there that they probably just didn't deliver correctly, but there was some truth there? And then just kind of like, it sounds like Matt, just allowing the Holy Spirit to allow you to literally be like Jesus, turn the other cheek, right? And, the Holy Spirit, through, self control on our part, could allow this criticism, this truth found wrapped in a hard pill to swallow, could advance our sanctification and our, efficiency in ministry. But anyways, just wanted to throw that in there. So that's what it sounds like.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right on. And I would say, like, if you're receiving a cynical attitude, if you have someone who is just, belligerent in their cynicism, what I would argue is the opposite of cynicism is actually humility. Of
Yeah.
how can I hear what's happening, like you just said, how can I hear this with a humble spirit? I had somebody, I was going through a training several years ago, and they defined humility in this way. They defined it with a question, and it's like, have I missed something? And is there something that is in this dialogue, in this conversation, in this critique, as you just said, that I'm missing?
Mm.
Like, is there something I need to learn here? Is there something that I need to hear in this moment? And that is hard, because we become protective. We become very protective of our ministries, and it's very easy for us to hold on to ministry with a closed fist hand of, this is mine. God called me to this, and this I'm gonna protect this. I'm gonna protect my ministry like I protect my children. Close to the chest. You know, um, I don't think that's what our attitude towards ministry should be.
Yeah.
I really think that we should have an open hand of ministry of, God has led us here in this season at this time in my life for these people right now. And if he wants to move me, he can move me. If he wants me to stay, I will stay. I will be obedient. But I'm going to remain humble in this, knowing that this isn't mine. This is an appointment by God, not an appointment by Matt. And I'm not going to become defensive. I'm going to protect it, but I'm not going to become defensive. And uh, there's a, I think there's an attitude of humility in just saying, yeah, what did I miss? Is there something in this conversation that I need to hear right now?
Yeah, that's really good stuff to think on. Abby?
Yeah, I think that's this is making me think of like I'm awful at receiving criticism, and it's just because I think I've struggled with, oh, I take on what I'm doing in my ministry as like who I am. And so to an extent, yes, it is a part of who I am and what I do, but like it is not my entire identity. Like our identities are found in Jesus, like being sons and daughters of the King. And so I just think it's super interesting how you kind of shared that, and how, if we let what we're doing and those criticisms, those things become what drives our mind, and like if that is where we find our identity, that's gonna allow us to become cynical, because like you said, we're gonna receive criticism no matter what. Like people are people, it just happens. And so I just think that's super cool. And so you kind of touched a bit on the ways that you handle setbacks and disappointments in ministry in general, but I'm curious, especially because you're about to go to a church where you're going to be a lead pastor, right?
Yeah. And I've
Okay,
been a
were
lead
you all
pastor the last
okay?
year and a
Okay,
half. Yeah.
that's what I was wondering. Yeah. So how do you handle leading a team when there's cynicism in there, where there's situations where I don't know, there's one person causing it, or the situation itself just feels cynical. How do you handle that? I'm just super
Yeah.
curious.
I think it in a similar way of, you know, it would be very easy to go, I've got this guy on my team that just can't say anything positive. Cannot say anything positive about what we're doing. And man, maybe I just need to get rid of him. Or maybe I'm just gonna like start to just kind of, we'll just exclude him. Like that's a very strong temptation at times.
Mm.
Um, I had actually an encounter where I was the cynical one on a team, and um, like I'm one who likes to ask the why question a lot, um, because and especially if I'm coming into a new atmosphere, a new place, and I've been I'm placed on a team, like I want almost like, all right, give me the history. Why did we do this? Why do we do that? Why? And sometimes it gets annoying. Um, like for real, I think I know I can be annoying. And I remember being in an offsite meeting where we were planning with our young gen team, and we were having a conversation with our lead pastor, and um, there were probably about, I think there were like 6 of us at this offsite. And I kept asking like why? And then I would like add like, well, here's what I would do, or here's what we should do. And like I was being cynical in the way that I asked the question and the attitude in which I asked the question, and just like in an immature way. Um, and it was one of those, like I didn't know that I was being pretty immature, but now that I like play it back in my mind, I'm like, oh, that was cringy, like ugh, like. And um our lead pastor actually approached me one on one. He came into my office uh and like sat down and talked with me, and he's like, hey Matt, like I know, I'm so glad you're on our team, And I just want you to know how things were perceived at the last meeting that we were at. And I'm like, okay, talk to me about that. And it's like, you came across really judgmental, really cynical in the way that you ask questions and even like suggestions that you would do. Because like I would make a suggestion as if like you guys should have done this a long time ago. Like that's how I would make a
Yeah.
suggestion. Like, why are we now figuring this out? Like just so immature.
Hmm.
And he pointed that out to me and I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, or he's right. You're like, uh that, and that's why like going back to like Nate's question, like preserving the relationship, that's been modeled for me. Like my pastor modeled that for me by coming to me and having a tough conversation. And it was a tough conversation. And like even in him approaching me on my turf, like coming to my office and not being like, hey Matt, can you come into my office? Like that's all, that never feels good. That's the principal's office kind of thing sometimes. Like going to someone and saying, hey, can I have just a real conversation with you? Like that shows that you actually care about them.
Mhm.
Like that shows that you love that person
Yeah.
and that you're willing to have a difficult conversation with them to preserve the relationship. And so if you can make a step, towards them where they're at, as opposed to trying to pull them along and say, hey, you're being a jerk and being cynical, like as opposed to, hey, can we talk about, hey, break down, why did you ask the questions that way? And can I just like share with you that was, we received that in a negative light. So can you help me with that? Can you help me understand that? And come to find out, like I was new into a position. I was under a lot of stress. And I'm not like the whole Enneagram thing. Like I'm naturally an 8. I'm a challenger. And you're not supposed to do this with Enneagram and like talk about your own Enneagram and make excuses or anything. But a stressed out 8 turns into an investigator. They turn into a 5, and they turn into a bad 5. Like they turn into someone who's just belligerent
Yeah.
in their questioning for the sake of gaining knowledge. And like so it made me like more self-aware to know like, oh, I was being a jerk. I was being a jerk and I was actually being cynical. So I need to be a little bit more self-aware, and I need to check my emotions and go on where am I at emotionally, whenever there's something that I might disagree at, and going, all right, can I ask a question in a challenging way that naturally I want to ask, and ask it in a way that's going to perceive in the way I really want it to be. And if I can ask that and do that and be self-aware, it totally makes the relationship that I have with that person so much stronger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, yeah, that's great stuff. Uh, um, it really does seem like how you handle with each situation that may be tense, both in, and you saw it even in the example that you gave of your pastor. He came to you in a spirit of humility, coming to you on your turf, like you said. That definitely seems to be the solution. But Matt, we gotta land the plane here. We want to be
Yep.
respectful of your time and the time of our audience. But this has been a blast. But really quickly before we go, you know what, Kaylee, why don't you give us like a quick, final takeaways for this evening? Um, like a quick 1 minute takeaway if you have one.
Yeah, totally. How could I not with the Matt Hale, the goat
Not to be
himself?
confused with Prison Matt Hale.
Prison Matt,
Just to
he's out
clarify.
there. We're hoping the best for him.
Oh.
With you gotta throw it out there.
Sorry.
But for me, like as a coach right now, it's really made me reflect on the things you were saying and like the way I was even as a player who before I was a player, I was a follower of Christ, so everything I did. But like as a coach in a position, like having players that are receptive and like in your experiences, it seemed like when that lady came up to you in that moment, it was like, I'm gonna take what's being told to me in stride, like catch it and we go kind of thing. And like um it's just so refreshing when someone can receive like constructive criticism. And like I found myself like my mind goes to being a player, but like I would hear it and sometimes I'd take it really well and sometimes I'd let it make me harden heart against my coach, and then I wouldn't love him well, I wouldn't love my teammates well, and it would catch up. So I really related to what you're saying, and then it's beautiful to see how the Holy Spirit in a moment can change your heart and like reframe your mind completely.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, and, to add on that, I know we're landing the plane, but like,
That's all right.
ministry for those that are being led into a ministry role, which many of us are, you are going to be in a constant position of receiving criticism, as well as probably in a position where you need to give a critique as well. And so where cynicism comes into place is whenever it's not given or received in humility. And so if you can have that attitude of humility whenever you receive criticism, as well as have an attitude of humility whenever you give criticism, I don't think cynicism will ever have a chance of killing your ministry. There's a plug for a book that I just finished, not just a few weeks ago, is a book called The Hidden Peace, and it's by Joel Muddamalle. He's one of the co-hosts of the Proverbs 31 Ministries, and it's all about how an attitude of humility, whenever I'm in almost this constant state of surrender, I'm not the one in control, but I'm going to let the Spirit lead through me. The peace, and again, it's a fruit of the Spirit. Peace is a fruit of the Spirit. And cynicism, there's not a lot of peace in cynicism. And so if I can have an attitude of humility, I can have an attitude of surrender, I can have an attitude where I'm going to stay focused and be led by the Spirit. Again, I don't think we'll see in our ministries a chance for cynicism to kill it.
That's great stuff. A thought that just came to mind. We're gonna go over, but I'll just say it, I'll drop it, and I'll walk away. Okay, you guys ready?
Let's go.
It seems as though to me that cynicism can oftentimes be rooted in insecurity, insecurity in the future, things outside of your control, insecurity in the capability of those that you're serving with, serving for, serving under. And humility forces us to give up that need to have the control, to come from a whole entirely different point of view. But anyways, I'll leave it there. Matt, it's been awesome having you on. So thank you so much, sir. We'll be praying for you. I encourage our audience to do the same thing. Pray for Pastor Matt and his wife as they enter into their new roles back at their home church. And happy birthday to your little one. And we are so grateful that you joined us tonight. So
thanks, guys.
Not a problem, sir.
That was awesome.
Thanks, Matt.
There you go.
Thanks, Matt. Woo.
There you go.
Oh.
Alrighty, Gradcast, you heard it here. Being cynical can kill your ministry.
Kill your ministry. Yes.
How do you avoid it? Humility. And like Mr. Matt said, humility is the opposite of cynicism. So interns, grads, coaches, don't be cynical. Be humble. Right? Let's put that on a t-shirt. Yeah?
Come on.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of the Gradcast. Blessings to you all, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
We'll see ya.